Hello, today's video is about how you can turn pain into love, like Franz Kafka. So, Kafka is the author of The Metamorphosis and The Trial. Was not married and didn't have any children. It was the fall of 1923, and Kafka was walking through a park in Berlin. So there was a girl in that park who was crying inconsolably. The reason she lost her favorite doll. So Kafka and this little girl was searching for the doll the entire park. But unfortunately they couldn't find it. So what did Kafka do? She pacified the crying little girl and told her to meet him the next day at the same spot in the park. And that they would look back for the doll again once more. Okay, the girl came to the park the same time at the same spot, and they too were looking for the doll again, but they could not find it. So Kafka gave a letter to that little girl and said, "This is from the lost doll, written to you." So the girl opened the letter, and the letter read, "Hey, please don't cry. Hey, please don't cry. I'm on an adventure to see the world, and I'm taking this trip, and I will write you about the whole adventure." Kafka continued to give letters written by the doll to this little girl whenever they met in the park. And this little girl could not read or write. So, what Kafka used to do was say that the letter was from the doll, and Kafka used to read it out to the little girl. And she used to be pacified, consoled, and in a better position to move on. So each day, the new letter was about new adventure, new travel, new places, and whatnot. And it used to evolve rapidly, and each day, depending on the rhythm of the life of the doll. So days passed, and after a few days, the little girl slowly started, moving on with life, and slowly the doll started taking a seat. In the sense, the little girl started slowly forgetting about the doll. Slowly started forgetting about her loss of the doll. Instead, the more focus was on, more than the loss, the adventures what the doll was having and how the doll was having fun with the life and the adventures. Life was interesting for this little girl reading Adventures of the Doll, but for Kafka, life was becoming difficult. Penning down stories or penning down adventures of this doll each day so that he can read it out to that little girl. It is not easy writing of an imaginary adventure, and that too, the little sweet girl should not feel cheated. So Kafka had to take care of a whole lot of things so that it sounded very realistic. So it is like a truth of reality tuned into a truth of fiction, or maybe in sync with reality, and it can or it has to sound true, real, and interesting. One day, what Kafka did was he brought a doll to Berlin and to the park and to the little sweet girl and said, "The doll has returned to Berlin after all the adventure around the world." The little girl told Kafka, "Oh no, this doesn't look like my lost doll. It has totally changed." Of course, it is a new doll and not the lost one. So Kafka handed out another letter to this little girl. And what did that letter say? "My travel have changed me a lot. My travels have changed me a lot." Sweet girl believed that, the doll was looking entirely different from what it was. And the little girl was fine with what the letter said. The little girl was fine with the explanation that the adventures change the looks. She hugged the doll tightly, kissed the doll, hugged it tight, and took it home. Few more weeks, Kafka continued writing letters invoking the feelings of the doll. You know what? The final letter gave the information from the doll or the feelings of the doll. So, from the persona of the doll, Kafka just wrote the final letter saying that the doll was getting married, starting to begin a new life with the doll's new husband. And then, in the closing lines, since the doll is trying to tell the little girl, you will understand that I am moving on with my life. And just so that we should stop seeing each other since I'm moving on with my life. So this was in 1923, and in 1924, Kafka passed away. Years passed by after Kafka's death, and the little girl became a woman, a lady. So when she was rearranging something in her house, she found that lost doll, which was given by Kafka as the lost one with changes through the travel or adventures what the doll had. When this girl, now a woman, was inspecting the doll, she found something inside it, and when she opened it, she found a small piece of paper which was a letter. When she opened the tiny letter, she saw that it was signed by Kafka. Curiosity, interest, and her adrenaline pumped in just to know what it was. And you know what it was in the letter? The letter read, everything you love will be probably lost, but in the end, it will come back in another way. She was so touched. So 94, Kafka passed. But this whole episode is a remarkable gesture of kindness. How one's pain can be transformed into love and affection to help one move on in life. And Franz Kafka is the most bewildering and iconic writers. And the moral of the story, or the wisdom nuggets, what we get from this story is that whoever it is, young or old, grief is ubiquitous, loss is ubiquitous, and to heal is to look forward for that love which is coming back. And it will come back. And one needs to look for how that love will come back in another form. This story was revealed to the world in 1950s by Kafka's partner Dora Diamond to Marthe Robert, a French translator. So for decades, this legend of Kafka and the imaginations of this doll and the little girl, and how the message beautifully conveys that how you can turn pain into love, and how from grief and loss you can look for love which is coming in another form. Beautiful, isn't it? Still, his stories are a comfort, and also it encourages millions of people who are in grief, pain, loss, and thinking that it is all over and how to move on. So it's a hope that you can turn your pain into love, or you can look for the lost love or the lost things and look for something which is coming back to you in another form. Look, seek, and you'll find. This Kafka's imagination of kindness and compassion is required for the world today, so that you can show the way to different or millions of people who are suffering and thinking that it's all over. And it's also another wisdom nugget is, to embrace change. As Kafka told the little girl that everything you love will end once, or everything you love will probably be lost. But in the end, love will return in another way. It's kind of embracing change for growth. and to embrace change that is inevitable, and it beautifully contours, shift pain into wonder and love. And it is up to us to try for that by consciously and intentionally creating that connection, to find that lost love in another form, move from pain to love. I hope you like the story, which is beyond the story, what we really need in today's world, to transform pain to love. If you like this, please share with your family and friends. And if you have not subscribed my channel, #Sindhura Better Living, please do subscribe. Until I see you next, stay healthy and happy. Bye for now.